All right, good Sunday morning. Welcome to Prop 5. We are going to go through the entire NFL card on this great Sunday. You got a little extra hour of getting your bets in. I've kind of fallen victim to that of maybe having a little bit too much time on my hands and placing too many bets. So I'm going to go through the entire NFL card. I'm going to go through the things that I'm playing on my end of things, different people that I'm following or tailing on games. But as always, with our sponsors, Better Edge. You can use the code 5RSN to get yourself $20 when you sign up on Better Edge using that code 5RSN. It's a social betting marketplace. You can bet against other people. You can set your own lines. You're not going to pay the VIG like you do in other sports books. It's a great place to line shop. I use it quite often because oftentimes you can find value, and you can also throw your own lines out there. So if you don't see something in the social betting marketplace, you can put your own line and see if somebody else, as they're browsing, will take the other side of it. So, if you look somewhere and you see that it is Dolphins -7 or +7, -120, and you don't want to pay that -120, you can put Dolphins +7 even money, and you're going to save yourself 20 cents on every unit that you play. So it's a great way to do that. I definitely recommend it. We have a competition that we do there each week. It is still open until probably the 4 o'clock games. You make 5 picks against the spread. All you have to do is finish first, and you win all the money. It's only $5, 5 games against the spread. The lines froze on Wednesday, so they're not changing as the week goes on, so you might find some value there. We do a show each week on Tuesday nights, giving our own picks for that. Also want to talk about Prize Picks, one of our big sponsors of 5 Reasons Sports. You can use the code 5 to get yourself $50 when you sign up for that. That is in the description of this YouTube show. You can get yourself $50 in Prize Picks. Great opportunity to play player props there. And we also have Underdog now. So another place where you can get prize, different opportunities to bet with player props. As we jump in, I'm going to put up the week 9 lines. Give me 1 second here. And we're going to start with those Dolphins and Bills. So Dolphins and Bills, obviously that line is hovered around a touchdown. There has been movement for the Dolphins coming in. Now it's down to 5.5 in some places, 6. One of the things that we talk about, I feel like every single week here, is the teaser zone. At 6.5, you're not really going through the typical long teaser, pushing it through a 3 and a 7. But if you're liking the Bills and you wanted to tease something, teasing it down to -0.5, that seems to make sense. At 5.5, if you were like on FanDuel, getting it up to 1.5, that doesn't really, there's not really the value there. This game is going to be interesting. I feel like it's a very, very public side that believes that the Bills, because of the narratives, the Dolphins can't win in Buffalo. They haven't done it against Josh Allen. It hasn't happened in a long time. The Dolphins have been bad. And I've been saying on our show, Setting the Edge, that I don't think it's just a missing Tua problem. I think it's bigger than that. We know that the last time the Bills and the Dolphins played, the Bills beat the hell out of them. That was the game where Tua got hurt. I don't think that the Dolphins are going to win today. I do not feel confident in that. If I were going to bet the Dolphins, I would need at least a touchdown in points. So 7.5 would be my minimum. That's not going to change in the next 3 hours where lines are going to move 2 points. It's just not going to happen. So my value here, I think, is really with Buffalo. But there's something about that line, and it's been moving in a certain direction with the Dolphins. I do not have anything on this side, and I don't have anything on the total. But what I do want to isolate is this. Tua is out there. He has struggled against Buffalo. They seem to have schemes that are above my mind of football, but statistically, he has struggled. But where I think that the Dolphins are going to attack them is with Devon Achane. And I have Achane props galore. And you can find these on Prize Picks. You can find them on Underdog. You can find them in sports books. One of the things that a couple of us, Ray and Matt and I, have been doing quite often are ladders, where it's becoming popular. It's kind of like the new same game parlay that everyone likes to do, is you isolate one prop and you just go at it, every different variation of it. And so I have A-Chain receiving, and I'm going to go through these. I have him over 34.5 receiving yards. I have him over 50 yards, over 70 yards. Obviously, as I go up that ladder, my unit size gets smaller because the odds are getting bigger. For example, that 50 yards is plus 172, 70 yards plus 400. You may find better lines depending on where you look, what you have available to you. I also have receptions. I have him over 4.5 receptions, over 7 receptions. I have him in a parlay over 5 receptions and over 50 yards. That pays out plus 260. I think based on what Buffalo does, the way that they're going to try to attack this is getting the ball out quick to A-Chain, throwing him the ball in space, and trying to see if he can attack that way. Only other prop I have on this game, I have Jonnu Smith under on 15.5 for his longest reception. Okay, another guy that they give the ball to in short yardage, like quick throws, but I don't see him getting that big play. And I do really think this is going to be a difficult game for the Dolphins. 2 other props just caught my eye. I have Calais Campbell under 3.5 tackles and assists, and I have Khalil Shakir under 20.5 longest reception. A lot of props in that game for me. But again, on the side, not really feeling anything there. But hopefully the Dolphins can do something. I feel like that's a house of horrors for them. Broncos and Ravens. So this is another game where, one, it falls in the teaser zone, 8.5. That can get you down to 2.5. You're going through the 3 and the 7. That's going to be a popular thing that public people are going to do, is tease the Ravens down. I think the Broncos are better than most people understand. Bo Nix has been playing well. Their offense is survivable, but their defense is very good. They're kind of like a West Coast Steelers in a way, that they're not going to wow you with what they do, but they also are a good team. They're probably a playoff team, to be very honest, the way that they're playing. I have in this game, I know that I have the Broncos. I have the Broncos plus 9.5. I sprinkled a little bit on the Broncos plus 385 on the money line. I don't necessarily, I won't say that I don't think that they're going to win, because why would I bet that if I didn't? I think they have a chance, and I think there's value in that line. I have a couple props. Connor Barton over 7.5 tackles and assists, and I have Williams over 18.5 receiving yards in that game. Nothing else on that one. Moving forward, Raiders and Bengals. An interesting game here. The Bengals are kind of playing for their season in a lot of ways. I have the under in the first half of that one, under 23.5. This line is at 7.5. So another one where if you really like the Bengals, this is a great opportunity to tease down to 1.5. You're in that teaser zone to get some value there. The Raiders are kind of a shit show in their own way. It is in Cincinnati, so it's something that, how is this game going to look for both teams? It's not a game necessarily that I feel strongly one way or another. I am on the Raiders plus 7.5 just because I think that touchdown value is good enough to, potentially keep it close. Maybe the Raiders can even win, and the Bengals, really their season will be off the rails at that point. I have Jacoby Myers over 4.5 receiving, over 4.5 receptions, and then Luke Wilson under 8.5 tackles and assists. Those are some Sean Kerner plays from the Action Network that he has been killing those tackle and assist plays. So make sure you check him out on the Action Network app. Other than that, Raiders, Bengals, that's all I got for that one. Raiders would be my lean there. Just like I said, I have the spread on that one, but probably a game where looking low in terms of scoring, the Bengals offense has not looked good. And so if you're getting 7.5 in a low scoring game, that seems to be good value there. Patriots and Titans, obviously neither of these teams have been really excelling this season. I am on the under in this one, under 39, under 38.5. I just think it's a grind them out. Poor offensive teams that are trading guys away. Definitely an ugly game at 1:00 that you don't want on your TV. And although I do have the under, I'm tailing someone on the Okongwu anytime touchdown at 550. So that's something that you can look for. But quite honestly, I'm not really trying to watch this game. Saints and Panthers. This is at the moment about 3 hours before kickoff. This is my survivor play. I'm down to 8 people. It's a $1,800 pot, and I'm rolling with the Saints. I feel confident with Derek Carr back. I know they have some injuries on their roster, but I just think this Panthers team is generationally bad. And with Bryce Young out there, I just don't think that they really have the tools, the ability to beat teams. I just think that they're that bad. And I just really don't know how the Saints team doesn't just at least eke out a victory. Now you're looking at this line again at that 7.5 line. It's in Carolina, which doesn't really seem to have much of a home field advantage. If you're looking at teasers, this is another one where it's going to be a very public teaser down to the Saints to 1.5. You're getting under the 7-3. So that's something that maybe you look at. In terms of what I've played on this game, I do have a couple props. I also have the Saints over 13.5 in the first half for their team total, 2 touchdowns. If you've watched the last couple of weeks, I've played these first half team totals against the Panthers. The Panthers defense is absolutely horrible. It's like a JV roster, practice squad guys. They'll give up 14 points in the first half. I really, really like that. That's probably my strongest play of the day, in my opinion, that I went hard on. Other ones, Derek Carr being back, just because of the fact that I think that the Saints are going to handle this. I have him under 31.5 pass attempts. You're kind of playing the game script here. If this is a blowout, Derek Carr probably is not going to get up a lot of pass attempts because they'll ease him, maybe take him out early coming back from injury. But they just shouldn't have to throw the ball a lot against this Panthers team, and they cannot stop the run. Derek Carr, I have him over 1.5 rushing yards. It's kind of one of those fun plays that you like to throw in there. And then Taysom Hill, I think he's going to have his factor, 19.5 rushing yards for him in that one. Also, Jacob Coker over 34.5 receiving yards for the Saints. He's had a role in that offense. As we move forward, still in the 1 o'clock slate, we're going to kind of pick up the pace here. Cowboys, Falcons, 1 o'clock. This is 3.5 point spread, 3 in some places, obviously at that key number. If you're trying to play the Falcons, I would not play -3.5. I would look elsewhere and try to find wherever I have something available to play a good number, because 3 and 3.5 are not what you want to do there. I would lean here. Look, I think that the Falcons are the better team, but I think there's also some elements of the Cowboys being able to move the ball. Looking at the way that the Falcons play, the Falcons really don't get after the passer. And so I think Dak is going to be able to sit back there and do his thing. Now, the Cowboys have not played well. They've struggled. It's very well documented, obviously, on all the national shows. But Dak Prescott, if he's not going to get pressure, he's going to be able to get the ball out. He's a certified passer. I mean, he can do that. But can the Cowboys win this game? I don't know. I'm going to go Cowboys +3. I just think that there's enough value on that. Obviously, I can get 3.5s in certain places. So if you're looking at the Cowboys like I am, I would look for the 3.5s if you have those available to you. Again, because I don't think that Dak is going to get a lot of pressure on him, I'm tailing on this Dak Prescott not throwing an interception. You can get that at +125, +110 in some places, depending on where you have books available. I have CeeDee Lamb under 7.5 receptions. He does spread the ball around. You got Tolbert. You got different guys out there that he's throwing the ball to. And then I have Kendricks under 9.5 tackles and assists. This is another one that I said, like, those tackle and assist plays from Sean Kerner have been absolutely just killing it lately. So shout out to him for those. That is my play on Cowboys and Falcons. Chargers and Browns. This is going to be a low-scoring game. 2 teams that play with low pace. The Browns, obviously, with Mr. Jameis out there, has really kind of revitalized the team. They got a big win last week against the Ravens. I'm on the under in this game, as I said, under 42.5, under 41. I think either of those are good. Browns, look, my lean, and I think in setting the edge, I took the Chargers. I really don't think that the Browns are going to suddenly become a playoff team. I think there is a bump from Jameis. I also think that the realistic thing here is Jameis at some point is going to have a 3-4 interception game where he just throws you out of the game. It's kind of like Joe Flacco. He can spark you. He can also lose the game for you. And Jameis eventually at some point before like Thanksgiving is going to have a disaster game, and the Browns are going to be like, what the hell is this guy doing? But this week I'm on the Browns +1.5, just for that sake. I just think, look, the Chargers are a good team. It's going to be low scoring. Give me the points at home. Can the Browns stay on this high? I am going to ride with Nick Chubb, though. This is another play that I'm tailing from Action Network. Chubb over 1.5 receptions and over 6.5 receiving yards. Those are 2 value plays. The receptions is at plus money. Nick Chubb is not a guy that catches a lot of balls, so we're kind of threading the needle here. He's probably not going to have a lot of targets, but we're hoping that he gets a nice one out of the backfield for a short gain and gets 2 of those and will be in the money for those. I got Hopkins over 1.5 field goal made, and I have a Lance McConkey anytime touchdown at +250, along with Elijah Moore over 3.5 receptions. Keep in mind that Tillman guy, the new guy for the Browns, if you're a fantasy guy, This is not necessarily the day for him. I think he's a guy that's gotten a lot of spark. He's been like the number 3 receiver overall in fantasy over the last 2 weeks. I don't think he's a guy that I would lean into. I think he's going to have kind of a comeback to earth moment here. Commanders Giants inside the division game here in the NFC East. This line has moved all over the place. Really, it was down as low as 2.5 for the Commanders. Now it's up to 3.5, 4. Look, this was a game where earlier in the season it was low scoring. That was where the Giants kicker got hurt. They couldn't kick anything. They had to go for 2 all the time. I think the public obviously is going to be all over the Commanders, right? They've had a great season. They had that miracle throw last week. They're kind of like on this high. Jaden Daniels is obviously playing well. At 4, you're not playing a very good number. Now the Giants, they're not good. But you saw this week, like the Jets on Thursday Night Football. A lot of people were just like, Jets suck. I'm taking the Texans. Texans are good. Well, Texans are flawed in a lot of ways. Commanders are good too. They're flawed in a lot of ways too. Even though their defense is playing well, that defense is not good at all. Giants get after the passer. I just think that at home, you're getting some value in getting the points. And so I am riding with the Giants plus 3.5. If I could get 4, there's not too much difference between that in 3.5. I am on Tyrone Tracy. I have two different props here: under 2.5 receptions and over 13.5 rushing attempts. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Even the Commanders' offense is very, very good. I think the Giants are going to compete in this game in the division. Moving forward, Bears and Cardinals. Bears are 2-point dogs. Caleb Williams obviously has played well at times. This Cardinals team, I think, is kind of sneaky good. And I don't believe I'm actually on anything in this game, which is surprising because I have so many damn props. Look, my lean here would be the Cardinals. I do think you have an opportunity. If you like the Bears, you can tease them up through the 3 and the 7 to 7.5. But if I'm leaning anywhere, I'm leaning Cardinals here. I think they're just a team that is solid and defensively not great, but I think their offense is good enough to get them through. And against a Bears team that I don't necessarily believe in, I think the Cardinals can get it done. Jaguars and Eagles here in Philadelphia. I will say this: it is cold outside. So if you're fading the Jaguars in the cold weather, it's not going to be a warm day in Philadelphia. It has been warm recently, but it is cold outside today. I am on the under in this game, 46. I am on the first half under, 23.5. And then I have quite a few A.J. Brown props, which is good because I have him in fantasy also. I have him in another ladder. We mentioned those earlier. A.J. Brown over 75 receiving yards, over 100 receiving yards, and over 150 receiving yards, thinking that he's going to have a good game against the Jaguars defense that is kind of poo-poo. So I am not really confident in what the Jaguars can do today. I do think with Doug coming back to Philadelphia that they will play for him, but he's still a guy that he could probably stay in Philadelphia, honestly. He may not make it through this game on the flight back. So Jaguars are just not good. Eagles, kind of a questionable team also, but I think they're going to get it done today. One thing I just noticed, I do have a Bears-Cardinals prop. DeAndre Swift over 87.5 rushing and receiving yards. I almost missed that. I think I have one prop or play for every single game, which is very degenerate of me. Rams and Seahawks, that spread again, right around that 1.5, 2 in some places. As I mentioned before, if you want to tease the Seahawks up, you get through the 3 and the 7 to 7.5. I think there's some value in that. Rams are a sneaky good team. They've dealt with injuries. Stafford is playing well. They're well coached. On the road in Seattle, tough place to play. Seattle is kind of one of those hit or miss teams. On certain weeks, they look very good. On certain weeks, they look very bad. They've had a lot of injuries. Kenneth Walker's look great. Geno's look great. It's interesting to see how they're going to come out. But I think this is going to be a very competitive game. And because it's kind of an even game in a lot of ways, especially when you look at the spread, I'm going to go Seattle plus 1.5 in this one. I do have 2 props for this one. I have Barner over 22.5 receiving yards, and I have Jake Bobo, the tight end, anytime touchdown plus 485. So 2 props for that one. Last game, I believe, in the 4 o'clock window is Detroit and Green Bay. For this one, I am on the Lions minus 2.5. That line is still there available. I think the Lions are probably the best team in football, in my opinion. There are some 3s in different places, so make sure you line shop, get the value there, because the difference between 2.5 and 3 is very, very important. And David Montgomery over 12.5 rushing attempts. Look, I don't care if Jordan Love is out there. I think the Packers are good. Their defense is flawed in a lot of ways. Their team in a lot of ways is flawed. Although they are good, although they can win this game, I won't doubt that. I do think that the Lions are the team here. Now, here's the thing to keep in mind. Jared Goff has to go outside. The weather in Green Bay is not supposed to be good today. His splits when he is outside in cold weather is not as impressive as him in a lot of these games in this season. I have Jared Goff in fantasy as my quarterback. He has been excellent. He may be the MVP right now. But outside in weather versus Jared Goff inside in the nice, comfy 72-degree indoors or in warm weather is very, very different. So just keep that in mind if you are looking to fade the Lions. And just keep in mind, again, at 2.5, you can get through the 3 and the 7, tease it up to Packers plus 8.5, and you're getting some value there. All right, Sunday Night Football, we have Colts and Vikings. Colts and Vikings. On this one, I have 2 props. I have Josh Downs over 5.5 receptions, especially with Joe Flacco at quarterback and not that bum Anthony Richardson. I'm over the 5.5 on that one. And then I have Naylor for the Vikings anytime touchdown at plus 460. In this game, this line is at 5. Vikings obviously coming off of a loss last week. Colts, look, a lot of people are going to back Flacco and think that they have the goods in this game. I do think that the Vikings get back on track, especially at home on a national TV Sunday night game. I think the Vikings get it done. At that 5.5 number, I would definitely go Vikings. Last game of the week, tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, Chiefs and Bucks. I do not have anything on this game yet. I'm sure at some point tomorrow I will. This line is at 9, 8.5 in some places, it looks like, or actually, I'm sorry, 9.5 in some places. I think the Bucks are better than that. I like Baker. If I'm playing this game, I'm probably playing the Bucks. But then again, we just keep doubting the Chiefs and fading the Chiefs. And at some point, the Chiefs are going to slip up, but they just get it done. Doesn't matter who's out there for the Chiefs. Well coached, great quarterback, great defense, great in a lot of ways, obviously. And they're looking for their third straight Super Bowl. That's probably the moment that I knew that this stream has to end. So you can follow me on the Action Network. All my plays, if I go back here, all my plays are on my profile, Sean_Rochester. Definitely having a good weekend so far. 8 units yesterday, 12 units this week. Have been kind of up and down a little bit, but I'm hoping that this is a good sign of moving forward. You can follow me. You can see where I'm getting my plays from, and hopefully we can all cash this Sunday. So have a great day, and go Dolphins, and we'll see you next time.